So there we have it. There it is. Aaron Glenn is the New York Jets' next head coach, the 22nd head coach of the New York Jets. I think there's a lot of back and forth right now in regards to how some people feel about this. Personally, I like I like bringing them in. I really do. I think that there's a lot to be excited about when it comes to Aaron Glenn. I was very, very vocal about wanting to go the offensive minded route, but he's the head coach. Um, so what does it mean? How should we feel? Do we think this guy is going to go ahead and take us to the promised land? How do we stack up amongst the AFC East? Let's talk about what we can expect from, well, I guess the newest head coach of the New York Jets. Man, all right, let's do this.
I can do it all, I will never fall. It's the Renaissance, you know that I got the mother sauce, man. You know I'm the boss, I know what it costs. Have you ever lost? I'm so versatile, yeah, I'm a Renaissance, man. I can do it all, I will never fall. It's the Renaissance, you know that I got the mother sauce, man. You know I'm the boss, I know what it costs. Have you ever lost? I'm so versatile, yeah, I'm a Renaissance, man.
Congratulations, brother.
Okay, so Aaron Glenn is officially announced. He is the next head coach of the New York Jets. Let's be honest, we all kind of had an idea this was going to happen. He was potentially the best head coaching candidate outside of Mike Vrabel. This iteration of new head coaches, potential new head coaches. I know a lot of us wanted offensive minded guys. I'm definitely going to tell you that that was my route. I wanted to go an offensive minded guy. If we are going to go ahead and do a first year head coach, my thought process was to take a swing on an offensive minded guy over going to first year head coach who's a defensive minded guy. We've done this numerous times, and I'm already seeing some individuals in the chat not too much of a fan of it. Definition of insanity from Curly is doing the same thing, expecting different results. First and foremost, Curly Norman, man, appreciate you for being here. Infrared Jets, appreciate you for being here. Nate, appreciate you, man, as always. Tonight, there is going to be a giveaway, as I stated last night. Once the breaking news was announced that who the next head coach is going to be, I was going to jump on here, do a breaking news podcast real quick, and then we're going to be giving away tonight a Sauce Gardner autographed mini helmet. I want to say thank you to the fire team, the Jet Situation Report fire team, man. I appreciate you guys. So you've all been entered. This is just for you guys. This is for the fire team members of the channel. I really appreciate your support, man. I appreciate the love. You guys have really held it down with me for a while now. So I've got it already set up. I'm going to be doing that giveaway again after we go ahead and talk about our newest head coach in terms of Aaron Glenn. So first and foremost, I'm going to look at this like this, man. I don't think we did the same thing. I know a lot of individuals look at this and we think of Rex Ryan, we think of Coach Saleh, and we're like, man, we're doing the same thing over and over again, and it's just it seems like it's insane. But Aaron Glenn is not those dudes. Listen, Aaron Glenn, if we want to go ahead and look at this thing objectively, he was the Jets' 12th overall pick, I believe it was, in that 1994 draft, and he was really good at football. Like, he was a very, very successful cornerback at the NFL level. This guy was a multi-time Pro Bowler. He was an All-Pro. I'm not mistaken. I think he's top three in Jets history for interceptions. I think he's like number one purely at the quarterback position in terms of interceptions. Like, he's a baller. This dude was legit. You know, he wind up, of course, going to the Saints after playing with us. But again, I digress. But he was a baller for the New York Jets, right? So that matters. I think when we're really looking at how this breaks down is having a guy like that in the building goes a long way to convincing the masses, right? Or the guys that they've got they've got a real dog as a head coach. And let me explain. You're talking about a guy who's been in the trenches very much so, like these dudes who are doing this as a profession. This is their livelihood. Aaron Glenn's been there. Not just in the sense of he's been in the coaching meetings, he's been able to coach individuals, et cetera, et cetera. No, like he's legitimately been there. He's been in those same positions, those same thought processes of what the next game was going to look like, how he needed to perform, getting his mind ready for game days. He understands the psyche of the players in the locker room because he was a player in the locker room. I think we're taking that for granted quite a bit. Salah didn't have that experience. Neither did Rex Ryan. Right there off the bat, you've got an individual who kind of demands respect because he wasn't just in the league, just hanging around. He was a dog in the NFL level. He was a stud. AG is a guy that can come in there right now and demand the respect of these guys because, listen, I've been there, done that, been in your shoes. I was successful at this level. I'm going to help you be successful. He can reiterate that message to them, and they know he can back it up because he's already been there and he's actually done that, right? So first and foremost, when I look at Aaron Glenn, I think we need to understand, like, I know we've talked about players, coaches, et cetera, but this is very different in terms of a player's coach. This is a guy who understands what the players are thinking, what they're feeling, and understands how he could potentially engage with those guys, talk to those guys to kind of help them kind of overcome some of those things. That matters. We haven't had that guy as a head coach. So right there and then, he's a first for us. He's a first for us in terms of a guy that can relate to his players. And if we're being honest, we saw this team kind of fall off of a cliff after we let go of Salah. We need a guy like AG who can come in here and start talking to them and kind of getting them back on the same page. So I like it in the sense that AG is going to immediately demand that locker room, immediately demand the presence of his players, the coaching staff he's going to put together. All that. Listen, this guy is a walking example of what it looks like when it's done right. You know what I'm saying? Playing football. So love it there. Again, I understand there's some people that are hesitating because I'm with you, man. I wanted the offensive-minded head coach. The Jets offense in a nutshell has been enigmatic, right? It hasn't been something you've seen in the 21st century. It doesn't look like what we see other teams are doing. But I really do believe Aaron Glenn can help fix that too. I'm going to get to that in a little bit. But first I want to go and make sure that we kind of broke down the fact that, like, in the sense of Aaron Glenn, Salah, Rex Ryan, it's not the same guy. Very, very different guy in terms of him being a legitimate player at the NFL level. And not only that, a really, really good one at that. So then we look at, post-career, right? So he played football in the NFL. Then he jumped into scouting. He was a scout for the New York Jets in 2012, I believe it was, or 2013, or both years perhaps. So he was a scout for the New York Jets. So this is also a guy we're bringing in as a head coach that has the talent evaluation piece. It's cool to have your head coach understand how to maneuver the players around when he has them on their roster or somebody they really, really like. I look at Salah and I look at Rex Ryan and I look at those guys as individuals who are looking for players that would fit their system, right? Players that they could look at and think, okay, boom, that guy right there can go ahead and do this, and this in my system. Whereas a guy like Aaron Glenn, I think he's going to look at a player and look for football players. Man, that dude is a football player. We can find a way to impact or use him in our system or in our building. Looking for football players, vice looking for scheme fits, right? When you look at Rex Ryan and you look at Salah, those were their mindsets. Their mindsets were more so to just find individuals, oh man, this dude right here, I can go ahead and work him into this role in my offense. Whereas looking at players, football players, and thinking, man, that's a football player. He's talented. I need to get him on my team. We're going to find a way to go ahead and make him great on our team. I think Aaron Glenn looks at it differently in that mindset. Again, he's a football player. He's going to think like one. He's also had that scouting background. So I think that's also a plus when you think about a guy like Aaron Glenn coming in right now to go ahead and lead us into the next, into hopefully the promised land. I'm not saying we're going to be Super Bowl champions. The road through the AFC East literally goes through Buffalo. These guys were supposed to be taking, the year off to figure out life. They're about to be in the AFC Championship game, and who knows? They might even beat the freaking Chiefs and go to the Super Bowl. So the road goes through them. So a guy like Aaron Glenn coming in here, I feel like it's important because we're going to need somebody who can hit the ground running. Aaron Glenn has not been a head coach in the NFL. That's facts. But he's been mentored by guys like Bill Parcells, Sean Payton, and now Dan Campbell, all of which who have seen great levels of success as head coaches in the NFL. All of them have sung the praises of an Aaron Glenn. If we don't trust the powers that be in our building in terms of Woody Johnson, the 33rd team, Woody's son Rusty or whatever his name is, Dusty, fine, I understand that. They haven't really given us a reason to trust and or believe in those guys. But guys like Bill Parcells, Sean Payton, and Dan Campbell, who have done it and are doing it at a high level in the NFL right now, have spoken extremely highly about Aaron Glenn. Like, they know he's got that it factor to him. That's important. I think when you look at it like that, you can go ahead and see again another way that he's different from the Salahs and the Rex Ryans, right? Salah was really, really spoken highly about, of course, by the 49ers. And again, we all loved him because we saw what the defense like with the 49ers, and we were kind of hoping to bring some of that 49ers magic to the East Coast. Didn't quite pan out. But Dan Campbell, having been around the league as long as he has, not just as a player, but then as a scout, then as his assistant coach, DB coach, like he's been through the ringer in terms of working his way up. I think now this makes his 18th year in the league in terms of coaching experience. We're not even counting his playing experience. So that in itself brings legitimate value. My math might be wrong in terms of the coaching experience. Maybe it's 12 years, but it's legitimate value in terms of what this dude brings. So having that kind of a resume where you've got those kind of CEO type, head coaches telling you how great this guy is, I think that goes a long way. I think another thing that we need to look at when it comes to Aaron Glenn is he's going to bring influence. He's going to bring influence, and he actually stated as such in one of his pressers. In fact, let me see if I have that with me here. But he looks at it like an individual when he talks about his leadership style. It's about influence. He believes that every time he engages or interacts with anyone, whether it be his coaching staff, his players, anyone that knows him, he feels that his leadership style is the ability to influence individuals in a positive way. He wants to bring that positive energy to them all the time. Look, we watched the New York Jets all year, this year, last year. Honestly, whenever things get sour, it just seems like those guys were lost. Like they didn't know what they were doing. The coaching staff looked just confused. That to me was very, very concerning because sometimes you're going to need to lead your guys when things are hitting the fan. In fact, that's when leadership is needed the most. And it never kind of felt like the Jets coaching staff had that figured out, right? Aaron Glenn is the kind of guy who looks at everything in a positive way, and he wants to bring solutions and leave you feeling like you learned something or something good came from those interactions. I think that's going to go a long way as well in having him not only just coach this team, but lead this team. I can go on and on about why Aaron Glenn is not someone we should go ahead and give up on, right? I know there's a lot of Jets fans who are excited about this. Again, I'm excited about it. He was definitely one of my top 5 coaches that I wanted to bring into the building and to potentially get the job. He got the job, so I'm not salty about it. I'm thinking in terms of what that's going to mean for our offense, right? They also gave him a 5-year contract. When I said it last night at the Hangout, I told you guys that the whole holdup in regards to, they were saying it's a massive deal. Some were talking about the numbers and 3-year deal, this 4-year deal, this. I said it was going to be a 5-year deal or longer. And I say that because congratulations. I'm telling y'all right now, Aaron Glenn is going to bring in his coaching staff. They're going to bring in Aaron Rodgers. They're going to sit down and talk about what they could potentially achieve, with one more year, one more run, right, at this thing. Aaron Rodgers is going to be the quarterback next year. They're going to go ahead and bring Devontae Adams back. They're going to add some pieces again through the draft, shore up that right side of the offensive line. I see Aaron Rodgers back here. They're going to take a run at this next year and kind of see if they can go ahead and pretty much get some magic. Remember, the Jets lost 7 games last season, by 1 possession. And oftentimes, it was just based off of poor coaching moves. Our kicker couldn't freaking finish and kick, make a field goal. I think he got a 5-year contract because this first year is going to be a let's see what we got type of year. And, of course, if that falls, and it's not the case, then now he's got 4 more years to go ahead and build a winner. And we're not talking about a full rebuild here, man. The New York Jets roster has talent all over it. I think again, I really believe the biggest component to why we failed so miserably this year, it falls on coaching. I think it really falls on coaching. And then I would probably say it was special teams. Special teams was definitely a factor. Granted, our defense fell off of a cliff. They were not what we were expecting to go ahead and have this year when we brought in Aaron Rodgers. But Aaron Rodgers' numbers were very, very average. And we talked about average quarterback play with our defense and our special teams, how it could impact the outcome of being successful, right? Obviously, that didn't pan out. Everything that could have gone wrong went wrong for this team. Our special teams forgot how to play football. Our defense definitely fell into the oblivion. I don't know what happened, but it happened. Bringing in a coach who can go ahead and kind of get these guys on the right track, I think is going to be a key component to us maybe even seeing a decent run next. I'm not saying, again, winning Super Bowls. I'm not talking about that. Maybe the playoff drought ends next year. Maybe that's in the cards if you bring back an Aaron Rodgers and he's on the same playing field as the head coach and, of course, the GM. I look at the bringing in of a guy like Aaron Glenn, and my biggest concern then falls immediately to the offense, right? I think that's a fair question for the majority of us as a fan base to kind of think, okay, so we went DC again. Got it. Offense has been the biggest freaking issue with the New York Jets for the last several years. How can we fix that? So a couple of OC candidates right now that's currently being discussed, man. We're talking about guys like Mark Brunell. So this one I'm going to give Green Bean, his flowers, because Green Bean brought up Brunell last week on the Thursday Thick of It. And all of a sudden now I'm seeing him pop up more and more in conversations in regards to potentially being the guy that Aaron Glenn brings with him to be the new offensive coordinator for the New York Jets. There's also some rumors that Ben Johnson likes Brunell as potentially his offensive coordinator with the Chicago Bears. So we might have a bit of a tugging match back and forth here to figure out which route he goes. But the good news is Brunell was a New York Jet, played quarterback for the New York Jets, so that might be a deciding factor. Josh McCown is another big name. Uncle Josh is one of those guys where I think a lot of us, actually, I'm included in this, where I thought to myself, bring him in as the head coach. I know it's very, very early, but I just felt like in terms of the CEO mindset, the CEO approach, a guy like a Josh McCown who understands football, has played it as well as he has. Why not bring him in? He's got the offensive mind. He's been with the Vikings now for a little bit. Let's see if we can go ahead and steal some of that magic that he's learned on that coaching staff. I was actually okay with swinging for the fences and making him the head coach. One of the thought processes I had was, sometimes it just makes more sense to be a year early than to be a year late. If you bring him in and he's a home run, right, and he becomes our Sean McVay or Vikings freaking coach, I always forget his name, but if he becomes one of those dudes, why not take the shot at it? So I was on board with that. I was hearing that apparently he was only going to consider leaving the Vikings for a head coaching role. But it sounds like he's rethinking that a little bit. Like maybe he'd be okay getting into an OC position, which is something that I think he would slide right into, of course, as a New York Jets OC. Henny's been out there as well, but for me, Clint Kubiak's the other guy. Honestly, I would love Kubiak. I would. Seeing his resume, man, and what he's been able to accomplish, I think he would be a stud addition to this coaching staff. You bring in a guy like Kubiak, who's experienced as an OC, who's had some great success in the league. You ensure yourself to at least know, while AG's figuring out the head coaching aspect and he's getting his defense aligned with his defensive coordinator, which I'm hearing Wilks might be the biggest, the highest chance of getting is going to be Wilks to be the DC. You bring in a guy like freaking Kubiak, he can actually run the offense. He's been there. He's done that. It's not his first go-around. He's been a very successful freaking offensive coordinator in this league. I think he could go ahead and take this offense to the next level. Now, this is why I also like AG. Now, he's going to be the head coach. So it's not just him being on defense. He oversees everything. One thing I think the majority of us have really enjoyed watching when it came to the Detroit Lions is how aggressive they are. I think AG would bring some of that Lions aggressiveness to the New York Jets, to One Jets Drive. And I think that matters because the chances they've taken with offense, in terms of trusting their playmakers, in terms of getting first downs, it breaks defenses' backs. It really does. It's just one of those things where it's demoralizing when you know the coach is most likely going to go for it on 4th and 1, 4th and 2, and if you don't stop them, it gets into your head throughout an entire game. We've been here as Jets fans where we get to 3rd down and short, and we're like, oh my God, we're not going to be able to go ahead and stop this guy. It's 3rd down. We're going to get freaking guy. And they get the first down, and it just hurts, right? Because you thought you had a chance to get off the field, and you didn't. Imagine it being 4th and 1, 4th and 2. You've done your job, but now they're going for it on 4th down, and they do it over and over and over again. Dan Campbell does that. I love that. I think we're going to see a lot of that with AG as our head coach. I think AG is going to demand a more aggressive approach to the offense, a more aggressive approach to the defense, and I'm here for it. Like I'm excited to see what that looks like. Again, I would love Clint Kubiak to be my number one choice to be the freaking offensive coordinator. Burnell and McCown, I'm up there as well in terms of them being second. You know what I'm saying? Either or. I'd be happy with either one of them being the OC. But the thought process for me is Aaron Glenn calling the shots is going to push that aggressive mindset the way it was pushed with Detroit. And again, it was great football. We love seeing it. We have a chance now to go ahead and have that here. Why not? Like, that would be freaking awesome. So I'm seeing some questions coming through. Who is developing the future QB? Huge question mark. Yeah, but again, I think Aaron Glenn made it very clear, right, when he did his press conferences, that he wasn't just a defensive coordinator. He understands the offense, understands how offense operates. And you want to hear that from your head coach. But again, somebody who's had to read offenses as a defensive player and make decisions in the snap, I just feel like that player-to-player relationship, if I'm being honest, Curly, that's going to be enough for him to be able to develop a quarterback. Like, he knows what a quarterback's looking at, you know what I'm saying, from the defensive side of the football, which is going to be a very key component to a quarterback being successful. Like, if he knows what he's looking at and what he should be looking at, he can kind of break that down a little bit and explain it to him. But for me, I think this is why you bring in a Clint Kubiak, or you bring in a guy like Josh McCown or Burnell. Those two are both quarterbacks in the NFL level. Clint Kubiak has the experience, I believe, as the OC. Who's that young quarterback going to be? That's going to be the key component as well. Is it Jordan Travis? Do we know if Jordan Travis is that dude? Does he have that dog in him to be a franchise quarterback? I don't think so. I hope so. I don't think so. I don't think we're drafting one in this draft. I think we're going to be looking for our quarterback in the 2026 draft, which I'm 100% here for it. So, last 5 years, and for Red, last year, 5 wins can be a blessing in disguise, guys. Let's get it. Last year. Yeah, in all actuality, it could be. Because if you look at the games last year, guys, 7 games, the Jets lost by 1 possession. Can you honestly sit me as a Jets fan, if you felt like we went into any game last year and and we felt like we had an advantage when it came to coaching, let me know in the comments. Let me know in the comments how you felt you had an advantage when it came to the coaching, because I don't think we had a coaching advantage at all last season. And I'm even going to say that when it came to against Gerard Mayo, who got fired, of course. I don't feel like we had an advantage at all last season when it came to the coaching matchup. And that was huge. I do believe Aaron Glenn putting in the right kind of people around him, especially for the offensive component, can be huge. Now, some people are going to sit here and say, like, oh, man, his defense was trash, this, that, and the other. Look, for those who are saying that his defense was trash, in his time as the Detroit Lions defensive coordinator, they were number 1 in stopping teams on 3rd down. They were top 5 in stopping the run, something the Jets have struggled to do mightily over the last several years. So top 5 defense in stopping the run. Number 1 defense in getting them off the field on 3rd down. This year was rough, man. They lost. They had 30 different starters on defense this year. Aaron Glenn had to have 30 different starters on defense this year. He lost studs like Aiden Hutchinson early on, and they were still a top 10 unit by the end of the year. Like, I know a lot of people are looking at like what it was from the beginning of him becoming the DC to now, but if we're being honest, like, that team had to go through an entire rebuild to go ahead and get talent on the roster that was going to be able to go ahead and operate the defense. People people need to stop looking at this in terms of like, oh man, as a DC, I saw somebody say like he should be getting fired as a DC if he's hired as a head coach. And I feel like people are looking at it in such a tunnel vision type of mindset. Overall, what does he bring to the table? This is a guy who's been in the league for quite some time. He knows people. He's got reach. The ability for him to put a good coaching staff around him, I think, is very, very important. The ability for him to relate to individuals on the field, I think, is very, very important. The impact he's going to have for our young guys on defense, even our young guys on offense, I think is very, very important. Now, we still need to go ahead and see who the GM is going to be. I know it was supposed to be Newmark, but for some reason, we're doing a second round of interviews for general manager, so the general manager remains to be seen, and I'm okay with that. Again, I wasn't really excited about that thought process of him being picked, but Aaron Glenn, I think, is going to have a say in that as well. Now, I am kind of worried about that. This is a guy, a first-year head coach, and I know he was part of that whole rebuild process for the Detroit Lions. But do we really want to give him authority to go ahead and pick his GM? And I feel like at that point we're giving him the keys to the car, and we don't even know if he can handle the horsepower yet. We don't know if he can drive a stick. Can he drive a stick? We don't know. We've seen him drive an automatic. He can do that pretty well. Now we're having him drive a stick. You know what I'm saying? We're giving him the keys to the car, drive a stick, and we don't even know if he can do it. I have reservations about that. I was really hoping we'd have the GM picked first, who was okay with the Aaron Glenn or whoever the coach is going to be. But here we are. We're doing it backwards. Jets doing Jets things. It's fine. Aaron Glenn was, I think, after Mike Vrabel. Ben Johnson was up there for me. He really was. Cliff Kingsbury, I was really kind of hoping was going to get into the rotation as well, but it looks like not so much. But at the end of the day, man, I think Glenn, here we go. Kevin Reiher says it beautifully. Glenn has far more experience and knowledge about football than Saleh did, and I don't think it's close. Everybody who's looking at this as being a lot of the same with the same, I think it's night and day, man. I think the only thing these guys have in common is they're both defensive. They were defensive coordinators before they got their head coaching gigs. I think that's about it. That's where the comparisons stop when it comes to Saleh and Aaron Glenn. Aaron Glenn's football IQ is immense. I think that's important. I also think Aaron Glenn went through the process of seeing a rebuild from trash organization to success. I get it. They didn't go to the Super Bowl, but the Lions have been to the NFC Championship game. They just won 15 games. They won 12 games last year. Like, this is the team that went from 4 wins in his time there to 15 wins now. So, again, winning the NFC, first seed in the NFC. Like, I think, 2-time NFC North champions. The NFC North has the Green Bay Packers and the Minnesota Vikings in it. Like, so I feel like we got to go ahead and be realistic here in terms of expectations, right? Like, one, it's the Jets. We didn't have a lot of people knocking on our door to come to these interviews, right? It seems like a lot of people said, yeah, I'm good. I'm going to pass on the opportunity to be the head coach of this team. He wants to be here, which I think is immense. I don't think people understand how important that is, that the man actually wants to be here. As a matter of fact, let me go ahead and read this to you guys so you see how this man. I don't know if can y'all see that. If y'all can't see that, let me know. I'm going to read it though, just to get my point across. So, Aaron Glenn, when talking about, of course, the New York Jets, he goes, "This place is special for me," Glenn said. "From the time I was drafted and practiced on Long Island to the time I came back as a scout in New Jersey, this organization has always felt like home. I'm thankful to Mr. Johnson for this opportunity. To our players, prepare to be coached with everything we have. That is our responsibility. I ask that we share the same vision, and that's working towards winning a championship. To our fans, simply put, expect a winning team that you will be proud of." This is a guy who not only admires the Jets, he respects the organization. He feels for this organization. He sounds like us. He sounds exactly like us as fans. Like, as fans, like, this is what I feel like the majority of us feel like when it comes to the New York Jets. I'm seeing some of y'all say y'all can't see it. Blank screen. I don't know what's going on with RE Stream lately, because now it's not sharing. Well, how about now? Can y'all see it now? I'm not sure if y'all can see it now, but I just made it bigger. It should show up. But yeah, I'm with you, Kevin. When I read that, it did get me pumped because this is a guy that's showing us that he's passionate about this opportunity. He's ready for this opportunity. And most importantly, he wants it. Like he legitimately wants this opportunity. I don't see a situation where we're gonna question the heart of this team um ever. Like ever. I don't think there's gonna be a situation or a scenario where this team is gonna show up on game days and we don't feel like, you know what I'm saying, like they put in some hard work. Like they didn't actually try. I think a lot of times we felt like they didn't try. We would hear all the time like, oh man, we had an incredible practice, or we did this, or we did that. And it never seemed to really show. So for me, I think having a guy like Aaron Glenn come into the building, you know what I'm saying, and being passionate about the opportunity he's being given, I think that speaks volumes. I feel like we're really not we're not appreciating that as much as we should, if I'm being honest. This is a guy who wanted to be here, like wanted to be here. The Jets were his first priority. This is the same team that we just saw the hit pieces done about not just the coaching staff, but the general manager, where apparently, you know, the Woody Johnson's son is operating behind closed doors as the in fact though the GM. He's making decisions. General manager's talking about he's got to answer to a 15. Like this was real. This just happened. Like we were just seeing hit pieces about this like not too long ago. He wanted to be here. So for me, him wanting to be here, it does hold weight. It does. It holds value. Can he turn it around? I don't know. He believes he can. He believes he's going to be able to come in here and accomplish what hasn't been accomplished in quite some, right? A winning team that we're going to be proud of. I think it's been a while since we as Jets fans can honestly say that we feel like we had a winning team that we could be proud of. I think the majority of us have been frustrated, angry, embarrassed. I think those are the words that I would use in terms of how we felt as Jets fans. But ultimately, I think what it boils down to is we got a coach. There it is. We got a coach. He's here for the next 5 years. I think by the end of year one, Jets fans, as intuitive as we've become when it comes to what a coaching staff looks like or what good football looks like. I'm sorry, what bad football looks like. If we're seeing more of the same, we're going to know. We're going to realize, man, here we go again. It's just another variation of the same old Jets, and frustration will build. We'll start wanting him to get fired. I don't think he'll get fired after year one. I do believe we'll know if we have a legitimate head coach though after year one, only because we've seen so much bad football as Jets fans. So we'll know. We'll know if it's gotten better. But with that said, I still go back to the fact that we lost 7 games this year by 1 possession. And I don't think we ever had a coaching advantage in a single game. I'm going to be excited to see who Aaron Glenn puts around him. I think that's going to be key. I'm waiting for that to come out to get the finalized coaching staff around him. The good news is we're hearing that for the special teams coordinator that Westhoff is potentially coming out of retirement. I'd be all in for that. For some reason, that's more exciting to me, him coming back, than freaking, us hiring Aaron Glenn. But I digress. But I do believe this, Kevin, again, man, coming in with some heat, man, because I do believe that he says great practice, okay, but game day there was no fire on the field. We never had a complete team the same game. So hopefully Glenn can get all 3 phases to function as one on game day. And 100%, I think as a fan base, we got furious. And every time we heard during the press conference, man, we had a great practice, we knew it was going to be a shit show. We knew, here we go. Another shit show freaking game. When is it going to go ahead and collapse? And it never failed. At some point or another, either the special teams or the defense or the offense, it fell completely apart. I'm excited to go ahead and see what Kevin can do, what Aaron can do, what Aaron can do in terms of building a team, building a culture. Again, guys, he knows what it looks like. He knows what it looks like. He's had to do it with Detroit. He's been a part of winning organizations. He was a Jet before. He's seen bad Jet football and he's seen good Jet football. When you've got mentors like Bill Parcells, Sean Payton, and of course Dan Campbell, you know what I'm saying? Like I feel like there's a lot to be excited about, but I also understand the pessimistic variation of our fan base that just looks at it and thinks, "Oh my God, another defensive-minded guy. What are we doing?" I get it. I do. Personally, I'm going to look at this like any fanatic would. I'm going to look at this with an abundance of zeal and excitement. I hope the New York Jets got the right guy. I'm pumped for Aaron Glenn. Congratulations to Aaron Glenn. Welcome to One Jets Drive. We just want to go ahead and see competent football, man. And if you can do that and then elevate that to quality football, great. Get us to a point where we can start talking about, you know, being contenders in the next 3 years. Man, I think we'll renew that contract, and then maybe you can become our version of Tomlin or something. Just a guy who consistently wins. Although we'd like you to go ahead and win in the playoffs as well, not just in the regular season. We'd appreciate that as a fan base. But that's it. That's the breaking news. Breaking news. Aaron Glenn is the new Jets head coach. He's got a 5-year contract. Some of us love it. Some of us like it. A lot of us seem to be about it. But I think we got to give it a chance, man. He was one of the top prospects in this round of head coach candidates. He was. He's not a bum. It wasn't just the Jets who were looking at him. The Saints were looking at him, and he declined the Patriots for an interview because they reached out to him too. So he was being sought after, and he wanted to be the Jet. He wanted it from the beginning. He stated as much to his inner circle, and then he came out and said as much as well in his acceptance speech, so to speak. So looking forward to this offseason, man. I am looking forward to who else we add to his staff, who the general manager is going to be. Lot of what ifs right now. A lot of what ifs. But yeah, Miguel, again, I agree, right? Like, no guarantees that Glenn will succeed, but hope springs eternal, right? Like, at the end of the day, we kind of knew what a guy like freaking Mike McCarthy could potentially be. John, we've seen these guys and what they could potentially be, right? But I think when you look at a guy like Aaron Glenn, the excitement factor is like, man, can he be the next, input, high-end coach here, right? Can he be that guy? So, pumped. I'm pumped for it. I think you should be pumped for it too. I feel like, if you're a Jets fan that's just like, oh my God, what are we doing? I get it, but I wouldn't quit on this thought process, man. Aaron Glenn is a high caliber guy, highly sought after coach. He was praised by some elite coaches. That's got to mean something. It wasn't just us. That's got to mean something. So with that said, I want to go ahead and do the spin. So I saw that I was having technical difficulties, so I'm going to go ahead and make it really big. And then I'm going to go ahead and share it now. And you guys are going to let me know if you can see it. Share entire screen, because that worked better last time. And I'm just going to make it big. I'm not even going to see my face. Don't need to see my face. I'm going to make it big. Let me know if you guys can see the New York Jets situation report giveaway wheel. So tonight's giveaway again is going to be a Sauce Gardner autograph mini helmet. This is going to be exclusive to the New York Jets situation report fire team. I appreciate you guys very much. I appreciate the support. This comes down to, guys like Stack, Nate, Vero Beach, New York Jets, man, E-Boogie, Knobcraft, Infrared Jets, Nick Shine, Wild Wave, Connor Long, Jason Edwards, Dark Soldier. You guys have been like, around since the beginning. You guys were quick to go ahead and jump into the fire team once I was able to get to this particular milestone. Nothing but love and appreciation for you guys, man. We've been through some shit. Like, let's be honest, man. We've been through some shit. This team has sucked the life out of us. It's drained us on so many levels. But yet, here we are. here we are on a Wednesday night. I've got 158 Jets fans for some reason listening to me talk about, our newest head coach. A lot of them are excited. Some of them not so much. Nevertheless, I appreciate you all, man. We did a giveaway last night. We're doing another one today. Keep showing love. Keep showing support. The goal is to get to 2,000 subscribers by beginning of the new year. I will be doing one of my biggest giveaways yet. It will be an autographed Joe Namath jersey once we hit 2,000 subscribers. And on that 2,000 subscriber day, it will be individuals who comment. It will be simple as commenting. In order for you to qualify during the live stream, you must be on the live stream for you to go ahead and, of course, get the Joe Namath jersey. But it will be an autographed Joe Namath jersey that I give to you, the people, once we hit 2,000. So help me get there. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Tell your friends. And, without further ado, I'm seeing you can all see the wheel. We're going to spin this bad boy and see who's going to get the Sauce Gardner autographed mini helmet again. I appreciate you guys. And here we And the winner is Wild Wave. Wild Wave, you in I thought he was in the chat. Is he in the chat? Wild Wave, are you in the chat? All right. Well, I will reach out to Wild Wave. Yeah, he was in the chat earlier. I don't know where he went. But Wild Wave, you are the winner of the autographed mini helmet, Sauce Gardner mini helmet. Reach out to me, brother, and then I will get that out in the mail tomorrow if you can get me the address tonight. So I will bring that with me to work just in case you do get it to me at some point. But again, I appreciate you guys, man. Thank you again for being here. Yeah, I saw him earlier. I don't know where he went. So I'm gonna leave it at that. I'm pretty sure Wild Wave's gonna want it. But just in case I don't want to have to give it to somebody else, so I'm gonna do one backup spin just in case. But I'm pretty positive Wild Wave is gonna want to keep it. But if Wild Wave does not want it or doesn't respond, then Stack, you would be the backup. There's Wild Wave. There he is. So if Wild Wave doesn't want it, then Stack, you would be the guy that gets it. So let me just reiterate here. Wild Wave, congratulations. You are the winner of the Sauce Gardner autographed mini helmet. I will get this out in the mail to you tomorrow, brother. Just need you to go ahead and DM me your address, and then I'll get that out to you right away. Now, if you don't want it, Wild Wave, you can say something, and then Stack, it'll go to Stack. Wild Wave, do you want it? Do you not want it? He hasn't really said yes or no yet, so I'm not even sure. All right. Well, again, I appreciate y'all for chopping it up with me. Breaking news. Aaron Glenn, Jets head coach, the 22nd head coach of the New York Jets. And hopefully this is the guy that sticks around for the longest. Yeah. All right. Well, ladies and gentlemen, y'all have a good night. And as always, go Jets. Looks like Wild Wave does want it. So, Wild Wave, don't forget to DM me, man. We'll go ahead and get that out to you in the mail. All right. Appreciate you guys. As always, go Jets.
I can do it all, I will never fall. It's the Renaissance, you know that I got the mother sauce, man. You know I'm the boss, I know what it costs. Have you ever lost? I'm so versatile, yeah, I'm a Renaissance, man. I can do it all, I will never fall. It's the Renaissance, you know that I got the mother sauce, man. You know I'm the boss, I know what it costs. Have you ever lost? I'm so versatile, yeah, I'm a Renaissance, man.
Congratulations, brother.